Hello and welcome to the Youth Cafe podcast. My name is Faith Nyanjui and I'm your host. In today's episode, we are joined by Daniel Orogo, who is the African Coordinator for Democracy Moves and also a vocal advocate for youth engagement in democratic processes. Join us as we have this conversation. So Orogo, kindly tell us more about democracy and what it means to you.
Well, I think it's to thank you for the invitation. It's quite important to acknowledge that the work that has been done around your organization with democracy, and it's a pleasure to be here, partly and be part and parcel of this particular cause. Democracy is a government or a state of governance where is accompanied by major aspects of one, citizen engagement, secondly is public participation, and thirdly is free access to to media and press, and fourth is where human rights are being observed, and thirdly where special interest groups or interested players are able to carry out elections, free, fair and transparent elections. So I would define democracy based on those 5 tenets of democracy.
Okay, thank you so much for that description. Maybe you could tell us from where you sit, how can some of the unique challenges that are faced by the youth in terms of participation in democratic processes be addressed?
Well, there are a number of hurdles that has faced young people in participation in democracy. I keep on identifying the major cause is the attitudinal cause, the problem that we have as young people. Our understanding of politics and democratic processes. We perceive politics as one, a dirty game. Secondly, as a cause where young people should not venture in a sense that it's left for the elderly that has money, the elderly that can be able to buy in, and that politics is not for ethical, it's not for young people. Well, let me say that has been partly the attitude that the young people has had towards perceiving what politics is. Then there are structural challenges that have been facing young people, the hurdles that are put there by the systematic challenge. For example, the hurdles on age, and the lack of understanding within young people. I don't know, people call it ignorance, but I think I call it negligence on behalf of the understanding of young people on what democratic processes are. And then thirdly is that I think the media in itself and structures has not been able to accompany the young people in democratic processes. So overall, I think youth perception on democracy has been a hurdle of understanding, structural challenges, and also the attitudinal, change that young people are always perceiving towards democratic processes.
What are some of these stakeholders that must come together to work together to ensure this happens?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Moses. One is we have government institutes and institutions that are purely concerned in creating an environment for young people to participate in politics and in governance processes. One of the government takes that we have as a country, because this is a country, Kenya, that we are in, is institutions, for example, the National Youth Council, that purely is constitutional, purely is a legal, entity that should, educate young people on how they can engage in governance processes, because that is their mandate. Secondly, we are looking at government bodies. For example, the Ministry of Youth, Gender and Public Service, that should understand that young people are systematically excluded. Youth, women and special interest groups, especially women as well, that has been excluded in participation. So this ministry is an allied stakeholder with regards to ensuring that young people and youth and women and special interest groups and the marginalized participate in governance and democratic processes. We have the media that plays a very critical role within terms of giving a space for young people to articulate their issues on how they can engage in governance processes. We have a civil society, that should be accompanying the process by providing a space for youth and educating the youth as well, complementing the government course with regards to accompanying the processes of democratic institution. But we also have a constituency of young people themselves, youth-serving organizations, youth movements and lobby groups that should also be piling pressure, for stakeholders to include them in governance processes. But equally, without not forgetting, we have a very special player, and that is the electoral management bodies. In this case, we are talking about the IEBC, that should create a space for young people, even with itself, because I have been very critical in asking IEBC, wherever they are concerned, if IEBC within the interested players, for example, that they are very clear that youth should play a role in electoral management. Why is it that we do not have a youth commissioner for the entire time that the electoral commission has been constituted? Why is it that we do not have young people that are constituting the secretariat of IEBC, if indeed IEBC is serious about engaging the young people? And lastly, uninterested players, the political parties, playing a critical role. And when we talk about political parties, we should not only talking about youth. In the youth, I've seen this thing called the youth leagues. That is a peripheral role the young people are put through. For example, to manage, we want to see young people playing a critical role, for example, in the national governing council of these political parties. Then we are able to say that these interested players are critically considerate and are very serious about engagement of the youth.
Thank you so much. In fact, in the recent past, we have seen a lot of these institutions saying that they are including the youth, but really it's not the case, because they are not being meaningfully engaged. So thank you so much for those insights. And since the world is changing into a digital world, so how can social media and technology be leveraged to promote or rather be used by the young people to hold their governments accountable and to promote democracy?
Well, very, very, very critical question, and the question that is in the hearts and the minds of people, those who are interested in governance tech and democratic processes. We need to acknowledge the advancements that are taking place in the digital world. You have seen a number of issues that are cropping up. For example, we have seen the emergence of generative artificial intelligence, that are now coming, where young people are able to, create spaces. They're able to create content. Because the artificial intelligence is providing a space for that. We have seen the emergence of, different platforms. We are into a phase where technology has created, a change in regimes in different countries within our region. The Arab Spring was inspired by technology. When one young people just was screened and was videoed pouring paraffin on himself, and that went viral, and it caused an emergence of regime change, the advancement of regime change in Tunisia that spread through Libya and the rest, and Syria and the rest of the countries. So we have seen also an advancement where young people are creating that space to advocate for change, in Europe, in Scandinavian countries, in the US, we've seen the change around, the Black Lives Matter that was inspired by technology and the rise of technology. So I am looking at young people leveraging towards creating a content and creating potent spaces, free spaces where they can articulate, where they can inspire debate. For spaces like this, we are having podcasts that young people can tune in and listen, because these are safe spaces that anyone who is against, democratic governance can try to interfere with, for example. So I foresee technology playing a very critical role. But you should also be careful, because technology has created also a very a haven of bullying and cybercrime and stealing of data and unsafe spaces where we have seen very bad issues arising because of the advancements of technology as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe still on technology and social media, I recently took part together with you in a consultative workshop launching the Civic Voices app. Maybe you would want to talk more about it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the Civic Voice app, the Civic Voices project that is, facilitated by Youth Voice for Peace, has been one of the critical online and mobile phone application that has been creating space for enhancing public participation in Nairobi County. The Civic Voices project, through the Civic Voices app, is an app in the mobile telephone app where it can be downloaded, and young people and communities has been registering to have a virtual conversation online in regards to civic engagement and public participation in the county, questioning important matters that are rising in the county government of Nairobi. And this app is designed in a sense that the citizens of Nairobi can put their consideration and their issues there, that can be downloaded, and a report can be generated and given to the county government. For example, right now, the conversation about the barrows, that are happening in the county government, the seclusion of 5 barrows that are happening in the Nairobi, within the 17 sub-counties of Nairobi. There are mixed reactions where citizens of Nairobi has either endorsed or has either rejected, given their views as to why they're endorsing, given their views as to why they're rejecting, the issues of the barrows. And we have collected this report and has given to the Nairobi City County to see, the views of the citizens with regards. So all in all is just enhancing a seamless public participation, accompanying the virtual processes, accompanying the in-person processes that has proved to be so difficult because one is access. Not everyone can be available to go in person and attend the public participation activities in Nairobi County or any other county. And also dealing with the issues of, the language. Most of these people can tell you that if Nairobi, for example, the public finance, consultation that are going on, the public participation that are going on in Nairobi County, where citizens are being asked to appear in different areas in sub-county, and you bring a whole document that is 200 pages and give them 30 minutes to analyze. Not even a professional can analyze that. But you want a grandmama or a boda person or mama mboga to actually, analyze that in 30 minutes and give their view. So for us, the Civic Voices, what we are doing is within the app, we are compressing that information, analyzing and putting it as a simplified version where citizens can exactly know that 200 pages can be summoned in, summarized into 5 pages that they can read, with also availability of a demo video, a demonstration video, where they can, understand better for those who cannot understand written, documents.
Okay. Maybe a quick question on that. How is the app ensuring that there is privacy, participant privacy, so that the person participating by giving their insights to the app stays anonymous? Secondly, we understand that technology also comes with challenges.
Yes.
For example, there are those in remote areas that do not have efficient access to the internet and such challenges. Yeah. So what have you put in place to address the challenges?
Thank you. One is for matters of safety. In the app, we have ensured that when one is signing up for the app, there is a provision for you to just sign as a concerned citizen, in a sense that you hide your identity and you become anonymous. That one you cannot be traced. The comments that you can give, even ourselves, we are not able to know who is commenting, because that is a concerned citizen. But even if you go ahead and sign up with your name, in the processes of us generating a report, all the reports that will be generated and all the comments, all of them will now be coming, in a sense, the identity will be a concerned citizen, not your name, not where you are coming from, and not your gender, and not where your region, but every other downloadable project comes with a concerned citizen. That was what our legal advisor gave us, so that we do not risk the identity of people, and also make them be liable just in case other interested players are able to manipulate that process and try to identify them. Okay. So I think for the other question is, how has digital technology becomes has got its other limitations and challenges. Just like I alluded to, one is that is acknowledged, that it's there, that there has been issues, data hiving, and also just trying to archive people's information. We've seen the rise of malwares sent to people's computers, and we've also seen that those who are using mobile banking app, their information has been compromised, and their money stolen, and their so those are issues. But I think for us is to learn, ensure, especially on the global south, the global north, the European countries has passed, for example, a digital data laws. The EU has passed the laws, but for the global south, we do not have a law. So as an interested player, for example, the Youth Cafe and the rest of the entities could lobby so that all government of Kenya make sure that there is a law that is concerning data privacy and that safeguards people's data. Recently, you saw WorldCoin, walk into this country, and just have people's safety and information scanned through their iris, and somebody just goes. It's like an open market. And the CEO was here when he was summoned by the Parliamentary Select Committee. He says, Kenya is open, is an open market, and Kenya is probably one of the advanced countries in technology, and that becomes risky, because with an open market and capitalism, people can just walk in this country and take data because we are in a liberalized economy and walk away with it. But you see, even that, they cannot do that in their country. They cannot do that in Europe, because you'll be liable, because there's data laws that are regarding data privacy that is missing in the global south, in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, and indeed in this country.
Yeah. So that is actually something that our policymakers can take up,
yes,
and enhance data laws to make sure that the privacy of people is not taken for granted. So thank you so much. And actually, I wanted to comment on the Civic Voices app. That is a commendable job you're doing in that on that side. And maybe to urge the youth who are listening to us, you can go to Google Play Store, download the app. There you'll access the bills, the surveys, and all other things that are posted there, so that you can have your voice. Even as we are speaking, that we are not only ranting, that we are having challenges. So that is one way you can make sure that you are participating in democratic processes in the country. So maybe as we finalize, how do you think intergenerational dialogue and collaboration can be fostered to ensure that that young people and the experiences of Kenyan youth are valued in regards to participation in democratic processes?
I think, Faith, we need to have a honest conversation about intergenerational leadership issues. I have personally advocated for a free, fair processes, democratic processes, when it comes to young people finding their space to participate there are issues that we talk about in public, but behind the curtains, we do not really implement them. It is quite sad that throughout the year and after the promulgation of the Constitution and after the acceptance, we are still struggling with the intergenerational composition of our parliament and our Senate with regards to age and gender. It is quite shameful. And this is why whenever I find an opportunity to urge and advocate further is to first of all grab the bull by its horns by saying that the public stakeholders and the government is not serious about the intergenerational issues in this country when regards to leadership. There is no way you can't put an age limit for a presidential candidate to be 35 and over. All right? There is just no way. And I think the segregation, the age segregation in running for public office is one issue that we must, grab it and just, Nigerians ran a campaign on not too young to run. The age limit was lowered for a presidential candidate and was lowered for, for people, young people who are running for House of Representatives and the Senate. So I think we have time, just like we are always having a National Prayer Day. We must also have a National Intergeneration Dialogue Day for all the leaders in the public sector, all the leaders in the civil society and youth-driven lobby groups to have a honest conversation on when and how we could deal with issues of intergenerational deficit in our leadership. But even us as young people, we need to be very honest. Because I said I want to be very honest with this issue as much as possible. There is no way when confronted with the ballot or with a choice, and there's a picture of a young person hung there in the ballot, vis-a-vis the old guard and the octogenarian in the ballot, I would confidently tell you where a young person will walk and vote, will go and vote. It is obvious. Because money and the challenges that I mentioned, the economical challenges, the infrastructure, the issues of misinformation, matters that are dealing with electoral fraud, matters that are dealing with propaganda, young people are so much gullible to the extent that we can betray one of our own in the ballot and the governance processes and vote for the elder people that we are complaining. So therefore, Faith and Moses, one of the issues that I want to address, that I want to be very bold about, is that we must have a honest conversation in the constituency of young people if we really want to embrace and really want to push ourselves to make sure that we are able to meet the threshold of representation in the parliaments or in any House of Representatives or in the members of county assemblies with regards to young people as voting for ourselves. But also, we also need to have an honest conversation with people who are not within the age of youth. Those who've been swindling us and saying that we are youth at heart. It is not. I think it's time for us to publicly say that the laws are very clear over youth in age. So that let us stick to that and make sure that we lobby for our own people to be given a space in democratic and governance process. With that, I think we are good to go.
Now, Daniel, as we finish, being that now you are a young person, have you ever considered running for a political office? And do you plan to run for the next political office?
I have contested for a political office in 2017, 2019. And for Kibra, I am going back to Kibra again to contest in 2027. And that should be a testament to young people that we are the leaders that we should expect, that these political positions can also be contested by young people. They're not a reserve of the old people. And I trust and I hope that young people would vote for me and the rest of those who will be contesting or vying come 2022.
Yeah, thank you. I wish you all the best and congratulations on your decisions to run.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Moses.
Yeah, I wish you success. And I urge all young people, please rally behind one of your own, and let's take this governance, and let's take part, and let's be the leaders, and let's bring the future that we desire.